Hey everybody, so glad to see you back. Today we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. We've been talking a lot about digesters, the organs in the digestive system that take our meal and break them down into a form that can be absorbed. And now we're going to switch over into the absorbers, which are the organs that actually do that absorbing once we have broken down those nutrients into tiny molecules that can be absorbed into our bloodstream. And so, therefore, we're going to start with the small intestine. And the big key word of the day is going to be villi. Villi, we're going to find out, are something that's going to be a great asset in our ability to absorb the maximum amount of nutrients possible from the food that we're digesting. And so, let's first talk about the small intestine in general. We've talked about that it's about 20 feet long. Sounds like a long tube, which it is, and you would think that would be enough to be able to absorb all the nutrients that we need. But yet, it is not, okay? So maybe we could make it longer, maybe we could be taller, maybe we could be wider, or maybe we can make more efficient use of that 20-foot tube. And so that's what we're going to get into a little bit more today with Dr. Seeless, because if we can add more surface inside that tube, therefore we could probably absorb more nutrients in that same tube that is still 20 feet long. And so to really understand that concept, we're going to have to send it over to our favorite, Dr. Seeless.
Oh, hello out there. So nice to see you on such a lovely day. Look at the beach behind us. Would you like to take a dip? I have 2 towels. Which one would you like to borrow? Would you like to borrow the smooth one, or would you like to borrow the fuzzy one? Me too. I like the fuzzy ones better too. They just seem to absorb more water, don't they? Well, let's investigate that a little further, shall we?
So we've returned here in our laboratory. Here are our absorbers from last time. We had the small intestine right here, the longer, thinner one, and the large intestine right here, the wider but shorter one. This small intestine absorbs all sorts of nutrients that we have broken down, like sugars and fatty acids and amino acids and vitamins and minerals and all sorts of things that our cells will be very happy receiving. Also, though, let's not forget the wonderful job of the large intestine, which is to take that liquid and absorb as much water as possible out of it, so that by the time it gets to the end of the large intestine, it is a semi-solid waste ready to be, let's say, expelled from our bodies. So today, let's take a look at our small intestine a little bit closer. We're going to open this up and see what it looks like on the inside. Well, looky here. Let me flatten it out. Alright, so we're back with a flattened small intestine. So let's simulate a meal. Let's say you were eating a meal bite by bite, and these Orbeez represent the bites that have gone into your stomach. Each little bite is represented by an Orbee. So therefore, by the time it gets through your stomach and your duodenum, just like I put the Orbeez through a blender, your stomach and duodenum will do the same with your meal. And so once it's done with your stomach and your duodenum, it will then be slowly put into the small intestine. And so what do you think is in the background of this small intestine? All of those red little lines represent blood vessels. So here we are with the food right next to the blood vessels. Therefore, any dissolved materials can pass through the cell membranes of the small intestine and land right into the bloodstream so our little cells can get everything that they need. So, is there a way I can even absorb more, do you think? Perhaps, if I want to wipe my hands, should I use this towel or this towel? I like this towel because all these little fuzzies here help absorb more water. Well, how about if I made this with a little more fuzzies in it too? Would I therefore have a situation where I can even absorb more nutrients? Well, let's see. What I have here is something called villi. Villi are tiny little cellular projections that are in our small intestine that help increase the surface area within our small intestine. By adding all these little villi, we end up with more cells touching more food. More cells touching more food, therefore means that we will absorb more nutrients. The more villi, the more absorption. Alright, so if I had more toothpicks and I had more time, I could keep going and going and going, because this will fill up back to back with villi all the way through this part of the small intestine. And one more interesting fact, not only do these villi have tiny little capillaries in them to absorb nutrients, these villi even have tiny little villi on the villi. And so not only are we increasing the surface of the small intestine by making villi, but when these villi have villi on top of them as well, then we really can absorb nutrients to the max. So, now that this demonstration is at least laid out, I can dry my hands on this towel, because this towel is much more absorbent because of all the fibers that it has. Just like our small intestine is now more absorbent with all the fibers that it has. And the fibers have fibers. So therefore, the addition of surface area to the small intestine through the use of villi that have villi on the villi will greatly increase the surface area through which we can absorb nutrients into our bloodstream. So therefore, next time you use a towel, think about your villi and how they're going to absorb nutrients much like your towel absorbs water. All right now, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, Dr. Seeless, another wonderful demonstration. In this sense, what we're really looking at is this concept of surface area. In the same 20-foot tube, if we could add more surface that could actually put the nutrients right next to the bloodstream, the more nutrients we can absorb into our blood, therefore making the most efficient use of that 20 feet that we have to absorb our nutrients. So what you guys are going to do now is take the next step in our lesson. This lesson you'll have 2 days to do, and so if you have any questions, make sure you email us. I'll be there during class time as well. So have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.